Tonight, I will teach you how to feel it. I will show you the simple divine secret behind every miracle, every manifestation, every transformation that has ever taken place in the life of man. Oh, well, you do not need more power, for the power is already within you. You do not need more time, for time is only the servant of your inner conviction. You do not even need to know how it will come to pass, for the bridge of incidents will form itself the moment you feel it as real. What you need is to feel it. Feel what? The wish fulfilled. Most men and women pray. They hope, they beg, they wait, but few ever feel. To feel is to become. To feel is to fuse your inner world with the outer one. The outer responds to the inner, and the inner is ruled by feeling. God is not a faraway being in the sky. God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you learn how to feel something as though it were already so, you awaken God within, and God responds to his own nature. God creates by imagining, and when he imagines lovingly, he creates life, beauty, abundance, joy. So must you. You are not separate from the Creator. You are the Creator, asleep to your own power. But tonight, I intend to awaken you. I have said it many times. The world is yourself pushed out. What you believe, what you accept as true, what you feel with conviction, that is what hardens into fact. The law is always working, always producing what you are in the depth of your soul. If your life is filled with lack, you are feeling lack. If your life overflows with blessings, you are feeling blessed. The world cannot help but mirror back to you the vibration, the state, the assumption you carry in your being. Therefore, I say again, I will teach you how to feel it. Let us now make this very practical. Suppose you desire wealth. You do not need to look to the stock market, to the government, to some external source. All you need is to enter the state of wealth within. You do this by feeling wealthy, not hoping to be wealthy. No, not acting as if wealth might someday come, but assuming now, with full inner conviction, that you are already the one you desire to be. How would you walk if you had all the wealth you desired? How would you speak? How would you greet your friends? How would you fall asleep at night? What would you think about as you awoke each morning? Ask yourself these questions sincerely, and you will begin to construct a new state of consciousness. And that state, once occupied in feeling, will produce its corresponding reality. Let me remind you, this is not make-believe. This is not fantasy, this is creation. You are imagining your world into being, just as God imagined this entire universe into existence. We are told in Scripture, God calleth those things which be not as though they were. That is the very secret I am giving to you now. You must call forth the thing you want as though it already existed, and you must feel it to be true. Do not concern yourself with the facts of life. They are only the shadow of your former state. They will fade away when you no longer give them attention. All that matters is the feeling. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a mere fleeting emotion. It is a deep, abiding inner knowing. When you feel it, truly feel it, something shifts. Your breathing changes. Your posture shifts. You begin to see with new eyes. You are no longer a beggar asking for change. You are a creator declaring it is done. From that moment, your world must reassemble itself to reflect the new you, and it will. Not by force, not by willpower, but by the effortless divine operation of law. Imagine then that you are already where you want to be. Close your eyes and feel into that scene. Do not just visualize it, inhabit it. Make it real in your imagination. Hear the sounds you would hear. Touch the objects you would touch. Breathe in the air of that new world. Let every sense participate in the feeling of being already there. And then, let go. Fall asleep in that state. Carry it with you throughout the day. Return to it whenever doubt arises. And above all, do not contradict it with worry, fear, or complaint. Remain faithful to the feeling, and it will become fact. Now let me tell you a story. A woman once came to me, desperate to be reunited with her estranged husband. She had tried everything: letters, phone calls, pleading. Nothing worked. I said to her, "Do you still love him?" She said yes. "Then assume he loves you too, and that you are already together." She looked at me as if I had asked her to climb Mount Everest. But I told her, just tonight, before sleep, imagine him holding you, telling you he loves you. Feel it as though it were happening now. She did it, though reluctantly. The next week, he called her. By the end of the month, they were back together. What changed? Not him. Her feeling changed. She moved into a new state, and the world mirrored it. Another man came to me, longing for a better job. He felt unworthy, overlooked, stuck. I said, "You are not stuck. You are only stuck in your feeling." I instructed him to construct a scene that would imply his desire had already been fulfilled. He imagined shaking the hand of a new employer, hearing the words, "You're hired," and feeling the pride of accomplishment. Every night, he entered that scene. Within weeks, a company he had never even contacted reached out with an offer, double the salary. What changed? Not the world. His feeling changed. He stopped being the man who waited, and became the man who had. I tell you again, if you can feel it, you can manifest it. You do not need to manipulate people, force circumstances, or wait for some perfect alignment of stars. You simply need to enter the state of the wish fulfilled, and remain there. The world will conform, for it always does. You are the operant power. Nothing comes into your world but what you assume and accept as true. And assumption, once felt as fact, becomes fact. This is the law. This is the teaching of all the great mystics, clothed in different words, but pointing to the same truth. You are creating reality by what you feel to be true about yourself, about others, about life itself. So choose wisely and feel deliberately. If you want love, feel loved. Do not wait for someone to love you. Be the one who feels love now. Imagine what it feels like to be cherished, valued, adored. Walk in that feeling. Speak from that place. Love will come, for you have become the vibration of love itself. If you want health, feel healthy. Not someday, now. Feel the joy of vitality. Feel the ease in your body. Imagine the doctor saying, "All is well." Hear it, believe it, feel it. If you want freedom, feel free. Not in some distant future, but in this very moment. Break the chains in your mind, and your outer world will reflect your inner liberation. You are not a victim of fate. You are not subject to chance. You are the master, the chooser, the one who brings heaven or hell into being by your feeling. All the power of the universe is compressed within your own consciousness, and the gateway to its expression is feeling. Let us return to Scripture again. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It does not say, as a man thinks in his head. It says heart, which is the symbol of feeling. You may say with your lips, "I am wealthy," but if in your heart you feel poor, it is the feeling that will dominate. You must bring the word and the feeling into alignment. Speak what you feel, and feel what you speak. Only then do you create from truth. Now the question arises, but what if I feel fear? What if I feel doubt? Do not resist it. Acknowledge it, and then shift. Feelings are not enemies. They are messengers. If you feel fear, it means you are imagining something you do not want. So stop. Withdraw your attention from that scene, and construct a new one. Enter the feeling of safety, of confidence, of calm. Persist in that. Repetition will solidify the new state. And remember, no feeling lasts unless you sustain it. Sustain only what you want. This is not hard work. In fact, it is the most effortless of all. You are always feeling something. The question is, are you feeling deliberately or by default? Most people feel according to what the outer world tells them. But the magician, the mystic, the true creator, feels according to what they desire, regardless of appearances. And that is why they rise above the world and shape it. So tonight I urge you to begin. Do not wait. Choose one desire, just one, and feel it as though it were already so. Create a scene that implies its fulfillment. Let it be short and vivid. Enter it fully. Make it your home in imagination. Return to it again and again. Sleep in it. Walk in it. Think from it. And do not let the outer world dissuade you. It is only catching up. This is your birthright. This is the secret Jesus taught when he said, "Whatsoever ye desire, believe that ye have received it, and ye shall have it." Believe that you have received it, not that you will, that you have. And belief in its purest form is feeling. I will teach you how to feel it, because feeling is the secret, not action. not strategy, not effort. Feeling, the moment you feel the state of your desire as real, the moment you inwardly consent to its truth, it must come to pass, not by might, not by force, but by the inner certainty of being. Go now, and feel deliberately, feel powerfully, feel as though you already are the one you want to be, and watch the world rearrange itself, in perfect harmony with your inner state. You may wake tomorrow, and see no sign, no evidence of what you have felt the night before, and you may be tempted to say, it didn't work. But I tell you, never judge by appearances. The seed has already been sown, and what you now see is merely the lingering effect of your old state. Continue to feel the new reality. Let it take root. Persist in the assumption, not with strain, not with effort, but with quiet confidence, with that deep knowing that what you feel with conviction is law to your world. You must understand that the bridge of incidents, those mysterious, often untraceable paths that lead you from your present world to the one you have felt, are not yours to construct. Do not concern yourself with the how. You are not called to build the bridge. You are called to walk across it once it appears. And it will appear, not by your doing, but by the law that answers the feeling. What seems random, accidental, or coincidental will reveal itself, in hindsight, to be divinely orchestrated. But you must first claim the end. Feel it, own it, assume it. Each time you return to the old feeling of lack, of doubt, of fear, you reinforce that former state. But if you discipline yourself, even gently, to remain faithful to the desired state, you will notice a subtle change. You'll begin to feel different, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. And when you change, the world must follow. The law is not partial. It does not fail. It simply responds to the predominant feeling within you. You see, the imagination is not some whimsical fantasy land. It is the workshop of God. It is where reality begins. And you are the craftsman, the dreamer of dreams. But dreams do not come true because you simply wish them to. They come true because you dare to feel them as real. When you do this, you move from mere desiring into assuming, from hoping into knowing, from imagining into creating. This is the sacred alchemy of consciousness, the transmutation of invisible substance into visible form. I urge you, in your quiet moments, especially before you sleep, to withdraw from the world of facts and enter the world of assumption. Let the body relax, let the mind grow still, and let your attention be gently directed toward that which you wish to be, not with struggle, not with analysis, but with ease. Imagine a scene that would take place after your desire is fulfilled. Not the process, only the result. If it is marriage you want, see the ring on your finger. If it is success, feel the congratulations. If it is health, sense the vitality in your limbs. Do not overthink it. Do not make it complicated. Let it be simple, natural, alive. And most of all, feel it. This practice is not reserved for the few. It is not some mystical gift given to saints or sages. It is the right and ability of every man, woman, and child. You were born with this power. You are using it now, whether you realize it or not. Every state you occupy is producing its harvest. So choose your state by choosing your feeling. What you feel yourself to be is what you become. You may say, but I don't know how to sustain the feeling. I say practice. Like a musician training the ear or an athlete training the body, you must train your soul to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. Begin with short moments. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. Return to it often. In time, it will become your dwelling place. It will feel more real than the world outside. And when it does, the world outside will catch up. You are not here to conform to the world. You are here to transform it. But you cannot transform anything while feeling yourself a victim of circumstance. You must rise inwardly. You must ascend the ladder of being through feeling. Each rung is a new state. Each state brings new experiences. You do not change the world by force. You change yourself, and the world reflects your change. When I tell you to feel the wish fulfilled, I am asking you to become the person who already possesses what you desire. To think from it, to feel from it, to move through the world as though it were already yours. Not to pretend, not to fake, but to embody it with sincerity and faith. When you do this, you will find that your desires are not something you must chase. They are drawn to you, for you have become their embodiment. You must also learn the art of detachment. Not detachment from desire, but from outcome. Once you have felt it real, once you have accepted the state, do not strain for results. Let the feeling rest within you like a seed in the earth. Trust the law. Let life flow. Know that the manifestation is already in motion. You need not dig up the seed to check if it's growing. Your job is to feel it real, and then to live your life with the quiet confidence that it must come to pass. Many of you are waiting for a sign to believe, but the sign comes after the belief. First you believe through feeling, and then the sign appears. The feeling is the cause, the sign is the effect. To reverse this is to wait forever. So begin within. Begin now. Your world is your mirror. You do not see what is. You see who you are. Change who you are in feeling, and what you see will change automatically. A fearful person sees threats. A joyful person sees blessings. A loving person sees beauty. The lens is internal. Adjust it, and the picture adjusts itself. In the stillness of your mind, begin to hear the words you wish to hear. Imagine the sounds, the voices, the laughter that would surround your fulfilled desire. Let it be vivid. Let it be detailed. Let it be emotionally rich. Do not simply think it, feel it. Let the scene impress itself upon your soul. Then let it go. Trust that the impression will produce its expression. Your feelings are prayers, not the words you utter with your lips, but the feelings you carry in your heart. These are your true invocations, and they are always answered according to their nature. If your prayer is one of lack, you receive more lack. If it is one of fulfillment, you receive fulfillment. So bless your desire by feeling it is already done. Give thanks for it, not in advance of its arrival, but in recognition that it is already yours. Do not confuse effort with effectiveness. It is not struggle that brings results. It is surrender to the feeling. It is the quiet, confident assumption that what you have imagined is already a fact in your world. When you no longer need to force it, when you no longer need to ask if it's working, that is when it is working. That is when it begins to move from the unseen into the seen. The great secret is this: reality is not created by outer action but by inner conviction. What you are convinced of, deep in your bones, in your breath, in your heart, is what you manifest. And conviction comes from feeling. You cannot be convinced of something and not feel it. The two are inseparable. So if you wish to change your world, you must first change your conviction. And you do that through feeling. Now if you say, "But I've tried and it didn't work," I ask you, what did you feel? Did you feel the lack of it? Or did you feel the joy of already having it? You cannot deceive the law. It gives you not what you want, but what you are in consciousness. You must be honest with yourself. Trace your feelings. Examine your reactions. What are you truly accepting as real? That is your state, and that is what must change. So let us not just talk about this. Let us do it. Close your eyes even now, and let yourself drift into the end. What do you want? What do you long for? Feel it now. Step into the scene that implies it is done. Hear the words, see the faces, sense the atmosphere. Now feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of already being there. Let it fill your being. Let it saturate your body. This is not fantasy. This is creation. You are doing it now. You are planting the seed, and the harvest is inevitable. Remain in that state. Let nothing shake you. Let no outer appearance tempt you back into doubt. You are the one with the power. You are the one who imagines. You are the one who feels. And because you feel it, it must be. Not someday, not maybe, but surely, certainly, lawfully. As you continue to dwell in that feeling, a strange and beautiful thing happens. You begin to forget the old state. It no longer fits. It no longer feels like home. You have moved inwardly, and the outer must move with you. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural. What once seemed distant becomes familiar. And then one day, without effort, without striving, you look around and realize it is done. In that moment, you don't celebrate because something external has changed. You celebrate because the outer has finally caught up with what you've known all along. The world simply reflects your sustained inner state. And when that state becomes your dwelling place, reality bends to meet it. The phone call comes. The opportunity presents itself. The person shows up. Not because you chased them down, but because you changed who you were in consciousness. And they had no choice but to respond to the new vibration you radiated. You must now realize that all creation is finished. The moment you desire a thing, it already exists. It exists in the invisible, in that higher realm of imagination and feeling. You are not creating something from nothing, you are selecting from the infinite possibilities already prepared for you. Just as a radio does not create music, but simply tunes into a frequency, you are tuning into the reality you desire by way of your inner state. When you change the frequency, the song changes, and the frequency is your feeling. So if you persist in the feeling of already being what you want to be, you are tuning into the experience of that state. The longer you dwell in that feeling, the more naturally it begins to express itself through you. You no longer need to remind yourself of what you want, you have become it. And that becoming is what moves the unseen into the seen. You may not realize how powerful your acceptance is. The very moment you accept something as true within yourself, you set in motion a chain of events that is far beyond your understanding. A whisper in the heart becomes a conversation on the street. A feeling in your soul becomes a change in your bank account. A moment of gratitude in the silence becomes a healed relationship. But the outer event is never the cause. It is the echo. The origin is always within. Do not be disheartened when the world does not change instantly. It is not meant to. The world is slow, dense, heavy. It takes time to catch up with what you feel instantly. That is why you must live by inner vision, not outer sight. You are not called to observe, you are called to assume. And that assumption must be felt as real, so deeply, so naturally, that you cannot help but live from it, speak from it, and act as though it were already true. Many of you are tempted to argue with the current facts of your life. But facts are not truth. They are merely reflections of previous feelings, hardened into visible form. If you argue with the fact, you remain in bondage to the past. But if you disregard appearances and claim the truth of your new state, you rise above the world and call forth a higher order of reality. And that truth is felt, not seen. The more you feel from the end, the more the world must yield to your inner conviction. Circumstances will shift. People will behave differently. Opportunities will unfold with such precision that you will know, without a doubt, that something greater is guiding it all. That greater something is your own imagination, aligned with your feeling. And when those two are in harmony, nothing is impossible to you. What will you choose to feel tonight? Not what will you wish for, not what will you hope to see, but what will you feel as real in your heart? That is the beginning of your creation. That is the seed of your new world. And though no man may see it, though no sign may yet appear, rest assured, it is done. The feeling is the evidence. The assumption is the cause. And the world must bow to it, for it has no choice but to follow the inner blueprint you have laid down. Do not wait for others to agree with you. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Do not wait for the perfect conditions to begin. You begin now with feeling. You begin now with imagination. You begin now by entering into the state of the wish fulfilled. And once you have entered, remain there. Do not visit, live there. Let it be your new identity, your new home, your new reality. And the old world will pass away, and all things shall be made new. You are not learning how to create. You are learning how to feel, for the feeling is the creation. When you feel a thing deeply enough, consistently enough, the creation is complete. The delay you experience is not a delay in the creation, it is a delay in your recognition. You are waiting to see it before you believe it. But the law demands that you believe it, feel it, before you see it. So feel with intention, feel with clarity, feel with love. If your desire does not thrill you in feeling, it will not move the law into action. Let it come alive within you. Let the emotion flood your being. Let the joy, the peace, the excitement of already having it become the atmosphere of your soul. And in that atmosphere, miracles grow. Do not fear the delay. It is only the space between inner knowing and outer unfolding. It is the gap between seed and harvest. But the harvest is sure, if the seed is real. And the seed is the feeling, not the fleeting wish or the momentary thought, but the sustained assumption, felt as fact. Every great life, every success story, every healing, every breakthrough began with a man or woman who dared to feel something new, something greater, something already done. And they held to that feeling, even when the world told them otherwise. They were not greater than you. They were not more gifted or more deserving. They were simply more faithful to the feeling. And that faith became substance. That feeling became fact. You must now do the same. Take the power back from the world and return it to where it always belonged, in you. You are not subject to the world. The world is subject to you, and you rule it through your feeling. So feel with intention, feel with discipline, feel with love.
For what you feel you become, and what you become, you inevitably see. So I leave you with this eternal truth. Nothing is more powerful than your feeling. Not circumstance, not logic, not the opinions of others. If you would only dare to feel your wish fulfilled, persist in it, surrender to it, embody it, then no force on earth could stop its manifestation. You are not here to beg from life, you are here to command it. Not through effort or force, but through the silent authority of feeling. That feeling is your prayer, your seed, your creation. And when you honor it with belief, when you live from it, as though it were already so, the universe must obey. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of law. So feel it now, feel it deeply, and never forget, the world will always reflect what you dare to feel as true.
Everything in this world is consciousness. Every event, every gesture, every intention stems from that infinite, boundless awareness we call I am. And when we speak of seduction, we are not merely speaking of the lure of one person to another. No, we are speaking of the deeper, more insidious act of attempting to mold another's mind without their knowledge. Seduction, in its most naked truth, is the veiling of manipulation in the cloak of desire. You may ask, is it wrong to be attractive? Is it wrong to want to be desired? Of course not. Desire is the language of the soul, the movement of God within man. But when that desire is directed not toward the manifestation of love or union, but toward control, power, and deception, then what was once divine becomes distorted. Seduction, in the worldly sense, is the cunning dance of pretense, dressed up in smiles, tones, and glances. It is the art of invoking another's will, not so that it may be honored, but so that it may be bent. Everything proceeds from within. All phenomena in your outer world reflect states of consciousness. So if you find yourself seducing or being seduced, it is not the act that you must examine, but the state of being that gave rise to it. What within you feels it must be hidden to be accepted? What part of you believes that truth, as it stands, is not enough? Seduction tells a lie, that to be loved, you must perform. To be accepted, you must wear a mask. But this is not the law of assumption. The law says you are already that which you seek. You are already the beloved, the powerful, the chosen. To seduce is to act as if you are not. The manipulator does not believe in the law. He believes in the effect, not the cause. He seeks to twist the world by twisting others, not by entering into a new state himself. He forgets that others are merely reflections of himself pushed out. He forgets that by changing himself, he changes all. And so he plays the puppet master, pulling strings that only bind him to delusion. You do not need to manipulate anyone to receive what you desire. For desire fulfilled comes not from their reaction, but from your assumption. I have told you, and will always tell you, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel it real. Live from the end. When you do this, you need not persuade anyone of your worth. You will not need to orchestrate conversations or study the seducer's craft. For all things move in accordance with your state. People respond not to what you say or how you appear, but to the state you occupy. When you dwell in the state of being loved, those in your world will play the part necessary to affirm it. You do not beg. You do not lure. You assume. Now what is manipulation but the attempt to produce a result without changing self? It is the illusion that you can remain in the old man and still receive the gifts of the new. But you cannot plant thorns and reap figs. The seducer tries to change others while remaining unchanged himself. He uses flattery, false humility, staged vulnerability, all in an attempt to win favor. But no permanent change comes from such acts. Even if the other is won, the victory is hollow. For you can only keep what you are in harmony with. And if you are not truly that which you pretend to be, the illusion must collapse. I tell you a mystery. The law is never fooled. Your world is yourself pushed out. If you do not believe you are worthy of love, then all seduction will do is temporarily distract you from that belief. But the truth will surface again and again. Your world will reflect it until you assume a new state. And when you do, when you claim your worth, not through performance but through awareness, then you will find no need for seduction at all. The world calls seduction power. I call it fear. The fear of being truly seen. The fear of being unlovable without the dance. But perfect love casts out fear. And if you will only be still and know I am, you will realize that the kingdom of heaven is within, that you are already that which you seek, that no performance is necessary. Be still, assume the end, and you will be loved without the need to earn it. The great tragedy is this, that man does not believe in the power of his own consciousness. He believes in effort, in tactics, in strategies of the outer world. But these are shadows. The real work is done within. All things exist in your imagination. To imagine lovingly is to create lovingly. To imagine manipulatively is to sow discord. Even if the outer appearance seems pleasing, the seed sown in fear must yield a bitter fruit. So let us no longer deceive ourselves. Seduction is not love. It is not power. It is not power. It is not manifestation. It is the refusal to assume the end. It is the denial of the divine principle that imagination creates reality. And the seduced too are not victims but participants in a shared assumption. If you are easily manipulated, ask yourself, what do I assume about myself? Do I see myself as needing validation, as unworthy of direct love and truth? For only that which is within you can be mirrored back to you. You are the operant power, not them, not the world, you. And if you will rise into the awareness of being, into the pure assumption of being loved, cherished, and desired, then the world will conform, not through force, not through games, but through the effortless law of consciousness. What you are, you attract. What you pretend to be, you must continually act to maintain. But what you assume, you become. Therefore do not ask how to seduce another. Ask how to assume the state where you are already in union with what you desire. Ask how to rest in the knowing that your imagination is God, and that God does not need to beg or perform. Seduction is a symptom of doubt, but faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith does not manipulate. It simply creates. Let me be clear. I am not condemning desire. Desire is divine. It is the voice of your higher self calling you upward. But seduction is desire distorted. It is desire filtered through fear, through a belief in lack. The one who knows the law does not need to convince, to entice, to posture. He moves inward. He creates a new state. And the world in perfect obedience reflects it. The one who seduces believes he must take what he wants. But the one who knows assumes it is already his. And so it becomes. This is not fantasy. This is not illusion. This is law. Law that has never failed and never will. Test it for yourself. Assume you are already in the relationship you desire, already valued, already chosen, and live from that state. Watch as your world bends to mirror your assumption. There is no need for manipulation when your assumption is pure. Remember, whatever you do in imagination, if persisted in, will harden into fact. If you use your imagination to manipulate others, to imagine them helpless before your charms or wit, you are not creating love. You are creating dependency. And dependency is a prison. But if you imagine union, mutual respect, mutual love, then you create freedom. You create heaven. Seduction is effort. Assumption is ease. The seducer struggles. The believer rests. The seducer builds webs. The believer builds worlds. The difference is profound. One moves from fear, the other from faith. If you ask, what if I have been seduced? What if I have been manipulated? I say to you, forgive. Forgive them and forgive yourself. For all is consciousness. All is you pushed out. Do not dwell on the past. Move into a new state. See yourself as free, whole, sovereign. Assume it. Live from it. And those who once had power over you will vanish or transform. The outer world can only reflect the inner world. Change your assumption and you change the reflection. I am not here to condemn the seducer, nor to glorify the manipulated. I am here to awaken you to your power. You do not need tactics to be loved. You need only to love yourself in imagination, to dwell in the end, to feel it real. That is the secret. Every seduction is a denial of the truth that your imagination is sufficient, that your assumption creates. So let us rise above the need to control. Let us move beyond the games of attraction and rejection. Let us return to the truth. I am. That is your name forever. And whatever you attach to it in faith must come to pass. The world is yourself pushed out. There are no others. So love your neighbor, not by deceiving him, but by imagining him free, by seeing him as a divine being, not as a pawn. The one who knows the law lifts all others by his assumption. He does not use them. He blesses them. He sees the divine in all,
and in doing so he draws all things to himself. Seduction says, I must act to receive. Assumption says, I already am. Seduction is noise. Assumption is silence. And in that silence God speaks. In that silence creation begins. So be still. Cease from striving. And know that you are already what you seek. Let the world chase. Let the world perform. You rest in the end. Live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And all things, even those you once tried to force, will come to you. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit. That is the truth. And the truth shall set you free. The man who understands the law of assumption never approaches another with the question, how can I win them over? He does not study the mannerisms of the world to mimic desire. Instead he turns inward, knowing that all things must obey the direction of consciousness. He does not scheme or flatter. He does not calculate glances or rehearse lines. He knows that the outer is only the echo. He knows that if he changes the source, his inner state, the echo must follow. When you walk into a room assuming that you are deeply loved, you do not need to charm anyone. You are not desperate for their approval, for in your assumption you are already approved. The whole environment begins to bend in your favor, not because you seduced it, but because you are radiating the frequency of being chosen. Seduction relies on the mind. Assumption flows from the spirit. Seduction is always asking, what should I do? While assumption rests in what I am. But the world will tempt you again and again to return to the realm of tactics. You will hear it in books, in conversations, in the subtle teachings of society. Act this way to be desired. Say this to gain influence. Do this to be wanted. And I say to you, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The seducer is merely one who does not know who he is. He believes he must add something to himself to be acceptable, to be worthy. But I tell you, you are already the temple of the living God. Why then would you pretend to be anything else? Many come to this teaching thinking they can use it to seduce more effectively. They hear that imagination creates reality, and think, then I shall imagine their obsession with me, their helpless attraction. But hear me now. When you use the law to control another's will, you are not operating from love but from fear and pride. You are using the most sacred faculty of man, imagination, for bondage, not freedom. And bondage, even if achieved, will destroy the seducer just as much as the seduced. There is only one being in the universe, and that being is your own wonderful human imagination. There is no one to manipulate but yourself, no one to change but self. If another resists you, it is only because you have assumed a state of being resisted. If another clings to you obsessively, it is because you have assumed their obsession. These are not acts of them, but reflections of you. So ask not how to change others. Ask only how to assume the state that would make such change inevitable.
I have seen men and women burn with envy at those who seem to possess the power of seduction. They believe such power makes one superior. But I tell you now, the true power is stillness. The true power is resting in the end. Anyone can seduce. For seduction is performance. But only the awakened can create without effort. The awakened knows that what he assumes, he becomes. He does not chase. He does not pursue. He simply imagines and trusts. There is a divine order in all things. And when you dwell in love, you become love. When you dwell in truth, you become truth. The manipulator cannot see this. He wants results without responsibility. He wants change without transformation. But the law does not bend for appearances. It responds to states. If your inner state is rooted in lack, all your attempts to cover it with seductive acts will fail in time. They may yield short-term results, but they will crumble. For the universe is always returning you to yourself. Let us consider this. Why do so many pursue the path of seduction? Why do they invest in techniques and mimicry and signals? It is because they have forgotten who they are. They have forgotten that they are made in the image of God, that imagination is the creative power, not appearance or persuasion. The one who knows the law does not need to seduce because he does not feel separate from his desire. He is one with it. He feels it real and lets it unfold in time. Your assumption determines your life. It determines the way others see you. It determines the way you experience love, success, peace, and no amount of outer performance can replace the inner conviction. You may fool the world, but you cannot fool the law. You may win applause with performance, but what have you gained if you are still doubting in the silence of your own mind? The law is not mocked. What you sow, you reap, not in behavior, but in assumption. So I ask you, will you continue to manipulate appearances, or will you rise into being? Will you keep chasing the shadows of seduction, or will you dwell in the substance of truth? The one who truly loves does not need to manipulate. He does not fear loss, for he has assumed union. He does not cling, for he has become. He does not deceive, for he is whole. And wholeness cannot be improved by performance. Let us no longer pretend. Let us see seduction for what it is, the attempt to take by force what must be received by faith. It is an insult to your divinity. It is the desperate act of one who believes he is not already chosen. But you are chosen, not because of how you look or how you speak, but because you are. The name of God is I Am, and that name is yours. Speak it with reverence, attach to it only what you wish to manifest. Say, I am loved, I am desired, I am cherished, I am complete. Not because someone said so, but because I have assumed it. Because I live from it. Because I feel it in imagination, and imagination creates reality. The world will follow. The people in it will conform. They must, for they are actors on the stage of your consciousness. They have no choice but to play the role you assign them through assumption. So assign lovingly. Imagine beautifully. Do not try to change others with charm. Change yourself with truth. You cannot build a palace on sand. If your foundation is fear and performance, your creation will be unstable. But if your foundation is the awareness of being, the assumption of the end, then nothing can move you. The winds may blow, the storms may rage, but you will remain. For your assumption is the rock. Seduction is the sand. It shifts, it collapses, it deceives. And so again, I urge you, do not be seduced by seduction itself. Do not envy the one who manipulates, pity him, for he knows not what he does. He is laboring when he could be resting. He is performing when he could be assuming. He is chasing when he could be receiving. But you know the law. You know that what you feel as true in imagination must become your reality. So stop trying to impress and start imagining from the end. Let your imagination be a sacred space. Let it be filled with love, with dignity, with freedom. Do not imagine scenarios of domination or dependence. That is not creation, that is control. And control is always rooted in fear. But God has not given you the spirit of fear. He has given you the power to imagine, to feel, to know. And in this knowing, you shall be free. The man who walks by assumption no longer thinks in terms of conquest. He does not tally hearts won or affections stirred like a general counting his spoils. He thinks only of states of being, of mind, of feeling. For he understands that when he enters into the feeling of love, all who come into his world must play their parts in response to that vibration. He does not coax love out of another. He becomes love, and love finds him. The seducer, meanwhile, does not know what it is to be. He only knows how to seem. And seeming is exhausting. It must be upheld day after day, mask after mask, always afraid to be found out. But assumption is effortless. Assumption is quiet. It requires no act, no mask, no performance. When you assume, you do not seduce with words, you magnetize through your state. You do not appeal, you radiate. You are not calculating the next move, you are already dwelling in the end, and the means unfold before you. Can you see how far removed this is from the worldly view of seduction? The world teaches you to manipulate appearances. The law teaches you to embody truth. Ask yourself now, why do I feel the need to be seductive? Why do I believe I must hide my real self to be loved, chosen, respected? Somewhere, perhaps long ago, you accepted a belief of inadequacy. That belief became a state. And from that state you began to live, to act, to desire. But if you trace the desire to seduce back to its root, you will find a wound, a belief in not being enough as you are. The world does not heal that wound. The law does. Assume now that you are already the one, not one day. Not if you look better, speak better, act better. Right now, in this very moment, assume it, feel it, breathe it.
You are the one that another desires not because you played a role, but because you remembered who you are. And if one turns away, do not be dismayed. It is not about them. The one who truly understands this law does not mourn rejection. He simply reaffirms his state and watches the scene shift accordingly. You may have learned to use charm as a shield. You may have become skilled at reading the room, altering your behavior to be liked. But I say to you, release it all. Lay down the heavy armor of performance. You were never meant to fight for affection. You were meant to assume it and receive it. To know your value, not through others, but through the indwelling I am. Seduction is always based on the assumption that what you want is outside of you. But the law reveals the opposite. All that you seek is within. You see, imagination is not just fantasy. It is causation. It is the womb of creation. Every time you imagine yourself being desired, not from desperation, but from faith, you are giving birth to that reality. Every time you imagine yourself needing to trick, to impress, to lead someone on, you are reinforcing lack. You are planting seeds of fear, not love. And so I urge you to consider, what world do you wish to live in? One where you are constantly working to maintain a mask, or one where you rest, knowing that all you are is enough. There are those who believe seduction is power, that to draw someone into your orbit through suggestion and strategy is the highest form of influence. But this is the influence of illusion. It lasts only as long as the act does. And when the act falters, as all acts must, the illusion shatters. But the influence of true assumption never fades, for it is not dependent on appearances. It is rooted in being. The person who knows who they are never fears being left or forgotten, for they have already claimed their reality in consciousness. Let me tell you something that many do not wish to hear. When you are seducing another, you are not valuing them. You are using them. You are not meeting them as an equal, a divine expression of the same source. You are seeing them as a means to an end, and thus the relationship, no matter how beautiful it may seem, is corrupted from the beginning. True love begins when the manipulation ends. True union begins when the need to impress dissolves. What you assume of another, you call forth in them. So if you assume they must be lured, you are creating a version of them that is not free. But when you assume mutual love, mutual attraction, mutual devotion, you create heaven on earth. It is not about withdrawal, nor is it about renunciation. I am not telling you to abandon your desires. I am asking you to purify them. Let the desire remain, but let go of the need to force it. Let go of the belief that you must convince another to give it to you. Assume it is already yours, and it will come, not by strategy, but by law. The law is simple, feel it real and persist. No scheming necessary. Those who seduce, live in the future. They are always striving for what they think will come. But the awakened one lives in the end. He acts not to get something, but because he already has it. His every movement is the natural expression of fulfillment. And so others are drawn to him, not because he is trying to attract them, but because he is anchored in truth. Truth has a gravity to it that seduction can never match. It pulls effortlessly. It calls quietly. And it never fails. If you would test this, I invite you tonight, before you sleep, enter the state of the wish fulfilled. See yourself as already being in that relationship, that experience, that outcome. Feel it so vividly that it becomes more real than your current world. Do not think of how to get there, dwell in it. Fall asleep in that feeling. And when you rise, walk as though it were already true. This is the art of assumption. This is creation without manipulation. You see now, don't you? Seduction is manipulation because it is rooted in lack. It says, I am not enough, so I must pretend. But assumption says, I am already, so I simply rest. The two may look similar from the outside. Both may dress well, speak well, carry confidence. But the origin is different. And the fruit will always reveal the root. One will end in exhaustion, disillusion, and fear. The other will unfold in peace, fulfillment, and joy. And so I say to you now, with all the power of truth behind these words, let seduction die. Let manipulation perish from your mind. Let the desperate need to impress, control, or persuade dissolve into nothingness. For you are not here to beg the world for love, you are here to be love. You are not here to twist minds and steal hearts. You are here to assume your divine inheritance and watch the universe rearrange itself around your self-conviction. The manipulator is weak, for he does not know he is the operant power. The seducer is lost, for she believes her value lies in another's gaze. But you are awakening. And in your awakening, you remember the only truth that matters, that your imagination is God, and your assumption is the law. So walk now as the one who is already chosen. Speak now as the one who is already worthy. Love now as the one who needs nothing, and yet attracts everything. For when you assume your power, there is no need to seduce. The world, like a faithful mirror, reflects back your state. Never again betray yourself for attention. Never again shrink or perform or plot to receive what you were born to radiate. Assume the highest, and the highest shall be yours. This is not just a message. This is your reminder. This is your awakening. This is your awakening. This is your freedom.
To act as if you already won millions is not merely a method of wishful thinking, nor is it a shallow game of make-believe. It is a divine principle, rooted in the eternal truth that imagination is the only reality. You do not wait for the outer world to confirm your wealth. You do not sit back hoping for a miracle while doubting its arrival. You become the miracle. You assume the feeling of wealth. You wear it in consciousness like a royal robe. You dwell in it until the shadow of that assumption hardens into fact. All transformation begins within. The world outside is only a mirror. And what is it reflecting? The contents of your mind, the feeling of your heart, the assumptions you hold to be true. If you walk through life with the assumption that you are poor, that you are limited, that life has dealt you an unfortunate hand, then what else can your reality do but echo that belief back to you in form and circumstance? But if, in the silence of your own soul, you dare to act as though the millions are already yours, if you dwell in the feeling of opulence, of abundance, of limitless wealth, then you begin to shape a new world. I am not speaking here of empty visualization. I am speaking of a living awareness, a deep conviction, an inner act of faith that does not wait for evidence. It creates the evidence. It calls things that are not seen as though they were. And this is the key. You must feel yourself already to be the person you long to become. Not tomorrow, not someday, now, in this very moment. The man who walks as though he has already won millions behaves differently. He does not look to his bank account for confirmation. He looks to his imagination. He carries himself with dignity. He speaks with authority. He is generous because he no longer believes in lack. He blesses others because he knows he cannot outgive the infinite source within himself. He no longer argues for his limitations because he has discovered a higher law, the law of assumption. Assume it. Assume you already have it. Assume the millions are yours. Then live from that state. Feel it, taste it, touch it in your imagination. Walk into a room as though you are the one who possesses great wealth. You need not say a word. Your consciousness will speak for you. Others will feel it. Opportunities will begin to gravitate toward you, not because you forced them to, but because you aligned with the vibration of wealth itself. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is illusion. The things you call real, your debts, your lack, your struggles, are only projections of a former state of consciousness. They are not fixed. They are not eternal. They are shadows, nothing more. And shadows have no power except the light that casts them. Change the light, change your inner state, and the shadows must rearrange themselves. But this change must be done in faith. You must trust that what you assume in your imagination, when felt with intensity and persistence, will crystallize into form. Do not be discouraged if it does not appear instantly. Seeds do not sprout the moment you plant them. They grow in silence. So it is with your assumptions. Once you plant the idea, I am wealthy, you must water it with feeling. You must nourish it with belief. You must nourish it with belief. You must not dig it up with doubt. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot affirm abundance in the morning and bow to scarcity by the afternoon. You must live in the state of the wish fulfilled. You must act as though the millions are already yours. What would you do differently if you had already won? How would you dress? How would you walk? How would you spend your time? Begin now to do these things, not foolishly, not to impress, but from a deep inner conviction that wealth is already yours in the unseen. What is the unseen? It is the realm of imagination.
It is the realm of cause. Everything you see today had its origin in that invisible realm. The chair you sit on, the home you live in, the clothes you wear, they all existed first in the mind of someone who dared to imagine. So too with wealth. Imagine it. Not once but again and again, until it becomes so real to you that you forget it is imagination. When you no longer desire wealth, but feel that you already have it, then it must appear. For that is the law. I do not tell you to be reckless, to pretend in a vain and childish way. I tell you to dwell in the feeling of wealth, to saturate your being with the assumption that you are rich, that you have already received, that all the money you need and more is already flowing to you. Let your inner conversations reflect this truth. Let your thoughts confirm it. Let your heart rejoice in it. You are not poor. You are not striving. You are not separate from abundance. You are the operant power. You are the creator, and the world is your mirror. When you begin to see yourself as the one who has already won millions, the world must echo that belief. It cannot do otherwise. It is bound by law to reflect your assumption. To act as if is to impress the subconscious with a new pattern. And once impressed, the subconscious brings it to pass effortlessly. You do not have to know how. You do not have to manipulate events. You only have to persist in the feeling. The feeling is the secret. It is always the feeling, because your emotional state is the magnet that draws your reality. Feel yourself surrounded by wealth. Let it be a soft knowing, not a frantic desire. Let it be a peaceful acceptance. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It is something you become, and you become it through assumption, through the inner act of believing you already are that which you long to be. If you could only grasp how powerful you are, if you could only see that you are not waiting on life, but that life is waiting on you, that every event, every encounter, every opportunity is drawn to you by the vibration you hold, you would never again entertain thoughts of lack. You would never again deny your power. You would rise in the morning and declare, I have already won. The millions are mine. I am a custodian of abundance. I am the beloved of the infinite. And from this state of awareness, everything changes. You begin to attract new circumstances, new people, new ideas, not because you begged or pleaded, but because you assumed the state of the winner. What is a winner? A winner is one who accepts success as natural, one who knows that the universe is friendly, that life wants to give, not take. A winner expects the best and receives it, and when he walks, the ground beneath him rises to meet him. The path opens, the means appear, not by chance, but by law. You are not trying to convince the world. You are only convincing yourself, and once you are convinced, the world must fall into line. That is the divine order. As within, so without. You are the cause. Your world is the effect. Do not wait until you have millions in your hand to feel like a millionaire. Feel it now. Do not wait for the evidence. Create the evidence through feeling. When you walk into a store, walk like the one who can buy anything he pleases. When you speak to others, speak with the calm assurance of one who is already blessed. When you look at your surroundings, bless them. For what you bless multiplies. What you curse withers. Bless your present. Even if it appears small, see it as the seed of your fortune. Feel gratitude not because you lack, but because you know you are in the process of receiving more. That knowing, that confidence is the key to everything. Let the feeling of abundance rise within you until it becomes second nature. Let it be your dominant vibration. Let it be your home, and from that home all riches shall flow. It is not about greed. It is not about flaunting wealth. It is about aligning with the truth that abundance is your birthright, that you were not born to struggle. You were born to create, and creation begins in imagination. Every dollar, every mansion, every luxury ever made began as a thought, a feeling, an inner acceptance. Someone dared to assume, and because they assumed, they received. So dare to act as if you already won. Dare to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of wealth. Dare to believe that your imagination is more real than your circumstances, because it is. Your circumstances are always the outpicturing of your past assumptions. Change the assumption, and the world must change with it. You may say, but I don't know how it will happen. That is not your concern. Your only concern is the state. Live in the state. Walk in it. Breathe in it. Dwell in it so completely that you no longer hope. You know, and in that knowing, everything you need will be added. The ideas, the connections, the timing, the method, It will all appear, not because you chased it, but because you magnetized it. Act as if you already won millions, not to deceive the world, but to awaken the truth within you, that you are already that which you seek to become, that the treasure you desire is already yours in the kingdom within. Dare to claim it, dare to feel it, dare to be it, and the world, seeing your faith, must bend to your assumption and yield to your belief, for that is the law, and the law never fails. You must not falter when appearances seem unchanged. That is the test. When the outer world appears stubborn, when the facts contradict your assumption, that is the moment of greatest importance, for it is then that you must persist, not in force, not in willpower, but in faith, a quiet, unwavering inner knowing that what you have assumed and feeling is already so. You see, the outer world is always delayed. It shows you not where you are, but where you were. It is an echo, and echoes take time. But when you stay loyal to the unseen reality of wealth, the echo must eventually return as form. This is why you must remain faithful even in the silence, even in the seeming delay. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Faith is not hoping that things will change. Faith is knowing that they already have. You move through the world not looking for signs of change, but bringing change through your feeling. You do not react to circumstances. You create new ones, and the key to it all is acting as if you already won. Feel now what you would feel if the millions were already deposited in your account. Live from that feeling. Let it color your words, shape your decisions, guide your mood. For the world is responding not to what you want, but to who you are being. If you persist in this state, the world must conform. This is not arrogance. It is divine order. Your assumption, when sustained, becomes the law of your life. And when you assume that you are wealthy, when you walk in that awareness, you begin to attract everything that aligns with that assumption. You begin to live in harmony with wealth. The old patterns of poverty, scarcity, worry, doubt begin to dissolve, not through effort but through neglect. You have left them behind because you are no longer entertaining them in consciousness. Let me remind you, the subconscious mind accepts what you consistently feel to be true. It does not reason. It does not argue. It accepts the feeling you dwell in most. So if you feel rich, if you feel successful, if you feel secure, the subconscious will accept that as your reality and bring it forth. If you feel anxious, if you feel like money is hard to come by, it will accept that too. The power lies not in the facts of your current life, but in the feelings you cultivate. You must feel as though it is already done. This is why you must not wait for the $1 million to arrive before you begin to feel prosperous. That is living in reverse. That is trusting the mirror more than the image it reflects. The mirror cannot change until the image does. The outer cannot change until the inner has shifted. So shift it now. Dwell in the luxury of your imagination. Visit it so often that it becomes your new home, and soon the world will catch up.
Let us be practical. Suppose you had just been informed that $10 million had been transferred to your name. Not hypothetically, but really. How would you feel in this moment? What relief would wash over you? What confidence would arise? What lightness of being would you carry? Now capture that feeling, that exact feeling, and bring it into your body now. Wear it like a fragrance. Move with it. Speak from it. Think from it. That feeling is your creative power. That is the state you must sustain. And the more you dwell in it, the more you attract that which matches it. Understand this deeply. The law is impersonal. It does not reward the deserving. It responds only to assumption. Whether you are deemed good or bad, deserving or undeserving, the law responds to what you feel to be true. So there is no need to justify your desire. There is no need to prove your worthiness. You are already worthy, for the divine lives in you. The question is not whether you are allowed to receive the millions. The question is whether you can assume they are already yours. You are not waiting for the right moment. The right moment is now. You are not waiting for the economy to shift, for someone to help you, for a better job, for more qualifications. You are waiting only on your own consciousness to rise to the level of the thing desired. You must rise in thought. You must ascend in imagination. That is where the change occurs. All else follows. This is why those who truly understand this law seem to live effortlessly. It is not because life treats them more kindly. It is because they do not argue with appearances. They do not get entangled in what is. They live in the world, but not of it. They walk through it, wearing the armor of assumption. They walk as if their desires are already realized. And because they do, the world cannot help but reshape itself around that knowing. When you hear act as if you already won millions, understand that it is more than behavior. It is more than dressing the part or speaking in a certain tone. It is about entering the psychological state of wealth so completely that it becomes your new default. It becomes your dwelling place. And everything you do from that place carries the fragrance of abundance. You are the cause of your world. Do not look outward. Look inward. You do not need more effort. You need more assumption. You do not need more time. You need more feeling. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And heaven, my dear friend, is not a place. It is a state of consciousness. It is the state in which all things are possible, because you have accepted the truth of who you are. The moment you feel yourself to be wealthy, you activate a new timeline. You step into a new version of yourself. The old you begins to fall away, and with it, the limitations that held you. You no longer think in terms of if or when, but in terms of already. You are already successful, already blessed, already wealthy beyond measure. And this inner knowing begins to change the quality of your actions. You do not force. You do not chase. You allow. You respond. You follow inspired action, because it arises naturally from the state you are in. People will notice the change in you. They may not understand it, but they will feel it. You will seem more at peace, more confident, more magnetic, and they will begin to treat you according to your new assumption. That is the mystery of life. Others are only ever responding to your own self-concept. This is not theory. This is law. It is spiritual science. Just as surely as gravity responds to mass, the world responds to your sustained feeling. So test it. Do not accept my words blindly. Take this principle into your own life. Begin tonight. As you prepare for sleep, let the last thought in your mind be the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel the sheets beneath you, as though they were the linens of your luxury suite. Hear the silence of the night, as though it were the stillness of your beachfront villa. Let every detail of your imagined success be vivid, rich, and alive. When you awaken, carry that feeling with you. Let it guide your steps. Let it shape your tone. Let it govern your inner conversations. When doubt arises, and it will, do not fight it. Simply return to the state. Do not wrestle with the shadow. Turn on the light. The light is your assumption. The shadow is your fear. But fear has no substance when the light of assumption shines brightly. There is nothing you cannot have, do, or become, if you are willing to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The law makes no distinction between $1 and $1 million, between healing and wealth, between love and success. All are equally possible when you align with the feeling. And the feeling comes first. Always first. Do not say, I will feel rich when I get the money. Say instead, I feel rich now, and the money is on its way. That is living from the end. That is walking in faith. That is acting as if. Remember, acting is not pretending. Acting is becoming. It is assuming a role so completely that you no longer distinguish between yourself and the part. You do not say, I am trying to be rich. You say, I am rich. You do not say, I am hoping for success. You say, success is mine. This change in language reflects a change in consciousness. And consciousness is all. So act as if you already won. Not someday. Not soon. Now feel it now. Walk in it now. Speak from it now. And in doing so you will move mountains. Not by force, but by the silent, irresistible power of assumption. The same power that formed the stars. The same power that lives in you now. Awaken to it. Use it wisely. And the riches of the world will flow to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Let your mornings begin not with concern, but with quiet celebration. For in your inner world, the prize is already won. There is no more striving, no more grasping. There is only being. And being is the highest form of creation. What you are being radiates beyond the boundaries of the body. It fills the room. It moves ahead of you. It becomes your silent ambassador, influencing situations long before you arrive. So when you act as if you already won millions, you are not faking anything. You are giving form to the invisible. You are summoning the unseen into visibility through your assumption. Now understand this deeply. You cannot hold two opposing assumptions and expect one to dominate. If you say, I am wealthy,
but constantly check your account in fear, then your true assumption is lack. If you affirm riches but feel guilt for desiring them, then you are still identifying with limitation. So you must be clear. You must be singular. A divided mind receives nothing. A mind united in assumption receives all. It is your task to maintain your inner state, even when outer things appear unchanged. Do not be swayed. You are not reacting to what is, you are creating what shall be. Acting as if is not a public performance. It is a private communion with your deeper self. You do not need to explain yourself to others. You do not need to convince anyone. In fact, the more you turn inward, the less you care about validation. You begin to realize that wealth is first a feeling, a state of consciousness. And in this state, there is no struggle. There is only flow. You become the embodiment of wealth, not because of the cars or homes or jewels, but because of the energy you radiate. That energy becomes the signal that reshapes your world. Let your conversations be rooted in the tone of abundance. Let your internal monologue affirm your greatness, not in arrogance, but in divine remembrance. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not subject to fate. You are the living operant power of God, imagining your world into existence. To act as if you won millions is simply to imagine from the end and dwell there. To inhabit the state so completely that you forget any other version ever existed. Let your imagination be bold. Let it be vivid. Let it intoxicate you with the sweetness of fulfilled desire. And when you return to the so-called real world, do not downgrade your assumption to match appearances. Instead, let appearances rise to match your assumption. That is the work. That is the discipline. Not striving, not forcing, but persisting in the unseen until it becomes seen. The riches of this world will flow to the one who is no longer impressed by their absence. You are not trying to become wealthy. You are remembering that you already are. You are reconnecting with the eternal self who has never lacked. In this self, all is complete. All is finished. So you walk not as a beggar, pleading for crumbs, but as a sovereign child of the Most High, walking in full possession of what already is. And because you walk in that state, you draw unto you the forms that match it. The clients, the opportunities, the insights, the transactions. They rush to you, not because you chase them, but because they are compelled by your vibration. The world cannot help but respond to a man or woman who knows they have already received. This knowing is magnetic. It bends reality. It moves circumstances. It organizes events. And all of it happens without effort. For effort is the language of the one who doubts. Faith, on the other hand, is effortless. It flows. It dances. It sings the song of already done. You must discipline your attention. You must guard the doors of your mind. For every idle word, every fear-filled thought, every casual assumption is planting seeds. And the subconscious does not discriminate. It simply accepts what you persistently feel. So feel wisely. If a fearful thought arises, what if it never comes? Do not entertain it. Replace it. Reclaim your state. Declare again, it is done. And move on. You are not meant to live in cycles of frustration and longing. You are meant to live in mastery, in peace, in joy. You are meant to live from the state of already. And in this state, miracles become normal. You no longer speak of breakthroughs as rare. You see them as natural outcomes of your alignment. You begin to expect goodness, to anticipate blessings, to walk into rooms knowing that something beautiful awaits you. This is not positive thinking. This is not motivation. This is the ancient law that governs all creation. The law that says, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. And to believe is not to wish. It is to know. It is to assume. It is to persist in that knowing until the world reflects it. Begin now. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Imagine in as much detail as you can the life you would live if you already won millions. Where would you go? What would you wear? How would you feel as you wake up in the morning? Let it be so real that your body begins to respond. Let it move you. Let it inspire you. Let it shift you. And when you open your eyes, do not leave that state. Carry it with you. Let it become the lens through which you see the world. Others may not understand. They may call you a dreamer. Let them. Do not argue. Do not explain. The proof of your assumption will be in your results. And once the world catches up to your inner vision, those same people will ask you how you did it. And you will say, I acted as if. I assumed it. I felt it. I lived in it. And then it came. This is the secret that sages have taught for centuries. disguised in parables and poetry. The secret that every prophet, every mystic, every awakened soul has whispered to the few who are ready to hear. The secret that your world is your mirror. That what you feel to be true within must be expressed without. That God is not outside you, but within, shaping your life according to your beliefs. So believe in your wealth, not as a future hope, but as a present fact. Walk in it, dwell in it, rejoice in it. Let it become so natural that you forget you ever lacked. And as you persist, you will see what others call magic, but is in truth the law at work. And so I say to you, stop waiting, stop hoping, stop postponing your power. The moment you assume, the moment you feel, the moment you act as if you already won millions, the entire universe rearranges itself to reflect that inner truth. Walk in that confidence. Think from that reality. Let the feeling of abundance become your constant companion. Do not ask how or when. Those are questions for the limited mind. Instead, know that it is done. Your assumption, when felt deeply and lived boldly, becomes destiny. Refuse to be moved by what your senses report. Refuse to shrink into doubt. Stand tall in the state of the wish fulfilled. Live as the one who already has. Because in the infinite realm of consciousness, you do. Assume the highest. Feel it deeply. And watch as the world mirrors your magnificence. This is not a game. This is not fantasy. This is the law. You become what you assume. So assume with power. Walk with certainty. And claim the life that has always been yours. The riches you seek are already within you. Let the world catch up.